Now to this story. A lot of questions are swirling around Democratic donor Ed Buck after two men were found dead in his West Hollywood apartment.
Today I'm going to go over another case of someone of power using their influence and wealth to commit some of the most heinous acts. For over 20 years, Ed Buck preyed on the less fortunate. He lured his victims into his apartment with the promise of earning money. Join me as I take a look at how Ed Buck fell into the depths of a lost society. Edward Bernard Peter Buck was born on August 24, 1954 in Stubbornville, Ohio. He grew up in a middle-class home in Phoenix, Arizona, along with his parents, brother, and two sisters. Buck described his upbringing as being uneventful. His mother would say Buck was a handful in his youth, but although he gave his parents a little bit of trouble, it was to be expected from a growing teenage boy. Buck came out to his parents as gay when he was just 16 years old. He went on to college and won a 3-year internship to go to Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was a large Eastern European country situated south of Austria and north of Greece. It broke into several smaller countries in the early 1990s. A year after moving to Europe, Buck had started modeling and received a spot as an extra on a TV commercial. Buck stayed in Europe for 5 years, living in Paris and Amsterdam. There he worked as a fashion model and appeared in movies and magazines. He also modeled in Japan for Wrangler jeans. Buck returned to Arizona in 1980 and began working for a friend as a bicycle courier. He went on to purchase the failing business from his friend after helping him bring it out of bankruptcy for over $250,000. Buck saw the potential in the business due to the low cost of operation. His friend was able to run the business out of a small apartment. Buck sold it 5 years later for more than $1 million profit. He was already wealthy at the age of 32. Buck took risks on a couple business ventures on which he lost money on. In the 1987 election of Evan Meckham, a Republican, as Arizona's 17th governor, Meckham was a controversial figure. He made the decision to end Martin Luther King's Day as a paid holiday for the state's employees. He claimed that high divorce rates were caused by women holding jobs in his description of African American children as pickaninnies. There were also accusations that he misused state funds and failed to disclose a $350,000 campaign loan. Buck launched a successful effort to impeach the governor. The anti-Meckham campaign made Buck a household name in Arizona. But this angered a few people in return. Buck's character was attacked in an incident in '83 when Buck was arrested for public sexual indecency in an adult bookstore. Buck pleaded guilty and paid a fine, and the charge was dismissed. He claimed the cop had seen him grab the crotch of a friend. Buck also was called out for trying to get a drugstore to fill a fake prescription for Percocet, a highly addictive drug that contains oxycodone. In an interview in 1988 with the Washington Blade, Buck said he had made a copy of an existing prescription and needed to fill it because of pain from a root canal. Buck was indicted by a Maricopa County grand jury on a charge of attempting to obtain a narcotic through fraud or deceit. A judge agreed to dismiss charges against Buck if he would be tested weekly for drug use for 1 year. A few years later, he changed his registration from Republican to Democratic, and in '89 he was named Grand Marshal of the International Gay Rodeo in Arizona. Yet Buck didn't identify with many parts of the gay community. In his interview with the Washington Blade, Buck criticized some for their flamboyance. He has donated more than a total of $500,000 to political candidates and causes, almost all of them linked to the Democratic Party, including contributions to candidates like Hillary Clinton. From outside looking in, you would think Ed Buck is a pillar in his community, but behind the mask was the true Edward. You see, Ed Buck had a hobby of preying on gay African Americans. He frequented areas where male prostitutes hung out. Similar to Jeffrey Dahmer, he was also known to post ads looking for sexual encounters and interaction with other males. He liked to drug his victims' drinks before performing his twisted acts on them. Ed Buck rose to the center of attention after a video was posted online with Letitia Nixon demanding an investigation in the death of her son, Gemmel Moore, a 26-year-old African-American man who was found dead in Buck's apartment. At 1234 Laurel Ave on July 27, paramedics found Moore, who had worked as an escort, naked on a mattress in the living room with a male pornography movie playing in the television. According to a Los Angeles County coroner's report, A spokesman for the coroner's office, Ed Winter, said Buck was inside his Laurel Avenue home at the time of Moore's death, and that drug paraphernalia was recovered from the scene. Police found sex toys, syringes, and a clear plastic bag suspected of methamphetamine. 24 syringes with brown residue, 5 glass pipes with white residue and burn marks, a plastic straw with possible white residue, clear plastic bags with white powdery residue, and a clear plastic bag with a piece of crystal-like substance. Initially, the coroner ruled it an accidental death due to drug overdose, but the outcry over Moore's death prompted an investigation by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Pictures from Moore's journal had been released where it depicts a drug-using relationship between him and Buck. My mind and action changed. I am not the same person I was born to be, Moore wrote in his journal. I felt as if I sold my soul to the devil. I want to be back in the hands of God. I want to be healed from drugs, poverty, and troubles. I want independence. I want my own. There's so much madness going on in my life. It's got to be illegal and wrong. The way I was raised to be, you would never expect this. I just hope the end result isn't death. Someone needs to save me soon. The only person in my corner is the person who turned me this way. The way I feel right now, honestly, I don't care to live anymore. I do want to die. I feel like I've done way too much that this lifetime allows. If it didn't hurt so bad, I'd kill myself, but I'll let Ed Buck do it for now. December 3, 2016. I miss my grandma. Deaths in Los Angeles County related to meth overdose had increased 707%, from 43 in 2007 to 347 the year Moore died.
Huge drug bust. We're talking more than 2,000 pounds of meth alone. That is a big amount of meth. They say this is a very large area for drug distribution here in Los Angeles. And along with this investigation, there were dozens of DEA agents involved. They say these drugs destroy our communities and poison people as well. It is a deadly epidemic. As you take a look at the video here,
Meth gave you a dopamine rush that was quick and enveloping. The supply was also plentiful. The Sinaloa cartel and its competitors moved the product from Mexico into Southern California. There, distributors split up parcels and sent them into the city. The street price in Los Angeles stayed low, under 20 a dose, so meth was easily accessible. The come down made you twitchy and miserable. You could get addicted after your first time using. In 2013, Buck went through a noticeable change in his demeanor. He stopped speaking at city council meetings and started taking drugs heavily. Meth addiction cannot be concealed. Once it advances past a certain point, the physical symptoms are obvious. Everyone close to Buck knew he had become an addict. Even with all the evidence against Ed, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and Los Angeles County District Attorney Jackie Lacey declined to charge Buck on July 26, 2018. Since the death of Gemmel Moore, multiple reports have indicated that Buck had a history of luring young, black, gay men to his apartment. He would inject them with crystal methamphetamine for sexual gratification. On September 11, 2019 at 5:20 in the morning, a man walked into the cashier's booth at the Shell's gas station on Santa Monica on North Laurel, 3 blocks from Buck's apartment. The man was black and wore jeans and a button-up shirt. His hands kept rising to touch his chest. "I think I'm having a heart attack," he said. The cashier called 911. The man sat outside on the 12-inch high retaining wall while he waited, the fluorescent lights revealing a face contorted with pain. A fire truck and ambulance pulled into the parking lot. The man had been staying at Buck's apartment for weeks, coming and going with his own key. He needed somewhere to stay, so they had an arrangement. He did the laundry and grocery shopping. He held the gate open politely for the other tenants. But there was another side to his relationship with Buck that caused him to overdose. He told sheriff deputies that Buck was slamming, injecting him with too high dose of methamphetamine. Then he said Buck refused to call for help. Buck's interest in black men went at least to his early 20s. And on January 7, 2019, another African-American male, 55-year-old Timothy Michael Dean, a part-time adult film actor known professionally as Hole Hunter, died at Buck's home.
Is it a coincidence that 2 men have died in your apartment? Can you tell me that? Mr. Moore said that you injected him with drugs. Did you inject him with drugs, sir?
Following Dean's death, a coalition of 50 civil rights organizations released a statement calling on local law enforcement to conduct a thorough investigation of Buck's role in the incident, and calling on elected officials to return all contributions received from Buck. Buck was arrested on September 17, 2019 and charged with 3 counts of battery causing serious injury, administering methamphetamine, and maintaining a drug house. On September 19, 2019, a federal charge of 1 count of distribution of methamphetamine resulted in death was added by the United States for the death of Gemmel Moore, who died on July 27, 2017. That death had originally been ruled an accidental methamphetamine overdose by the Los Angeles County. On August 4, 2020, a federal grand jury charged Buck with 4 additional felonies, bringing the total number of federal charges to 9 counts. On July 27, 2021, Buck was convicted of 9 federal charges, including the death of Gemmel Moore and Timothy Dean, maintaining a drug den, distributing methamphetamine, and solicitation of prostitutes. On April 14, 2022, Buck was sentenced to 30 years in prison. At first, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, 30 years? This guy killed 2 known victims and he only got 30 years. I would have given him 30 for each victim, including the survivor. Based on his habit of picking up homeless men or victims who had little to no family members who would come looking for them if they died, it's no telling how many others he might have killed. Considering he's been doing it over 20 years, this is just another case where a privileged member of society got away with it only because authorities were okay turning a blind eye simply because of his status in the community. My condolences to the victims and the families affected by his actions. This channel is doing way better than I expected it to, and it's only been a month or so. We're already almost at 100 subscribers. To show you my appreciation, I'm going to pump a couple extra videos this week covering the Dahmer's case and some other characters mentioned in the show. I know some of you may have been watching it on Netflix. It was interesting to see how accurate it was at telling the story. So look out for those, but yeah, I'm excited about the future of Law Society. Thanks again for watching and subscribing. Until next time.